Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Ruach Kodash, who is the true names of the Lord and His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the elect, and Shalom to Israel, who are today known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Now, in this video, I want to go ahead and get into the subject of ESAU and their power and their blessing. Now, ESAU is today known as the Caucasian race, also known as the so-called white people in the world. Now, white's a color, and is just another tactic to hide Esau's true biblical identity. They've been known by many different names. They've taken on the name of the Hittites, the Macedonians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Italians, the Germans, the Russians, the Spaniards, the English, and now the American, or to convolute it even more, whites. This also includes the so-called Jews, who call themselves the Jews of today, but are biblically known as the head tribe of Edom, who are biblically known as Amalek. Now, back to the subject. I want to go ahead and touch on the blessing of Esau. Now, again, Esau is the twin brother of Jacob, Jacob being the Negroes, Latinos, and Native American. Now, Jacob's name was ultimately changed to Israel, but for this lesson, we're just going to refer to Israel as Jacob. Now, this is the blessing that Isaac gave to Esau after giving the original blessing to Jacob, who had just left the tent. Now, in here, this is Genesis 27:38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of the heavens from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So, the point I want to get into this is about how Esau is going to live by the sword, right? The modern day sword just being weaponry, guns, military power, and whatnot. When you follow the historic path of the Edomite race through those nations I just mentioned, when they would conquer these nations, they did it by extreme force, right? Extreme power. And now is that time that shall come to pass that they have dominion over the whole world, right? So this is the point. And now his brother Jacob, or the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, we don't have any yoke on Esau, right? We don't have any dominion over him. He's taken our yoke off of his back. Now, he did this a long time ago, but now for sure he doesn't have our yoke on his back. He is in dominion of the world. Now, another spiritual indicator is a prophecy that was mentioned by Moses of the nation that the Lord would bring against us Israelites for going against the Lord's laws, right? And let me go ahead and read this. This is explaining the so-called white man, or the Edomites. And it touches upon their blessing. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, the eagle being Esau's spiritual symbol, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kin, or flock of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. So ultimately, these are the spiritual indicators and the prophecies that were told regarding Edom's blessing, right? Is living by the sword. Now, on the sword, again, back in the old days, it was literally the sword, right? And ultimately, it's a metaphor for just weaponry, right? And having dominion over these other nations. Now, one thing I wanted to go ahead and bring up is, who are the people who have the most weapons in this world, right? Or at least here in the United States. Now, when we go down, right, here's the Pew Research Center. It's pretty much one of it's a real-time analysis and news about data from Pew Research Center writers in social science. So it says, Americans with young children in their homes are just as likely as other adults to have guns in their households, according to newly released survey data from the Pew Research Center. Overall, about a third of all Americans with children under 18 at the homes have a gun in their households, including 34% of families with children younger than 12. That's nearly identical to the share of childless adults, or those which are older children who have firearms at home. Now, ultimately, when you get past this, and if you look here, this is what the number here that shows out of, like, for example, the Edomites have 41% of all the guns in America, right? And if you look at the Negroes and the Hispanics, who basically, this is Israel, right? These two. You know, we have just underneath, ESAU, right? But ESAU by himself has the majority of them, and this just shows throughout their nation, right? Like, this is just part of white culture, or Edomite culture, is the love for weapons, right? It's a family affair, right? While we have our nation, while they're out partying or buying shoes, getting lost in sports, Edomites, even the ones who are freaking lost in folly, their things are guns, right? They're from young to old. It's a rite of growing up. This is just the thing, right? You do have some Jakes and other people in this world who do have guns, right? But it's not as ingrained as it is ingrained in the Edomite culture, right? It's just part of their life. Now, so much so that this is even reflected in their military. For example, the U.S. wants first drones that can kill people truly independently, right? So Esau does shit like this, stuff that there's really no need for, right? He already has the world outspent, hand over fist, but he still continues to develop, because again, this is just his blessing. This is what he was made to be. He's made to be the hammer of the Lord, right? Or the hammer of the world, as I'm paraphrasing, because Esau is referenced as the hammer of the world, and also he's also referenced as the pale horse, or death. Now, let me just read this real quick. The U.S. Army wants to develop small drones to automatically spot, identify, and target vehicles and people. It may allow faster responses to to threats, but it could also be a step towards autonomous drones that attack targets without human oversight. The project will use machine learning algorithms such as neural networks to equip drones as small as consumer quadcopters with artificial intelligence. Current military drones have little onboard intelligence, sending raw video back to analysts who pick out. Well, I'm not going to read the rest, but this just shows you, right? This is the Edomites' wickedness, that they'll set up shit like this, right? Besides that, like I said again, the U.S., you know, this is, I think, what, back 2014, so this is 4 years ago. It's over $600 billion they spent on the military, right? Pretty much three times more than the next, you know, country, China, spends. And for the most part, more than what the rest of the world spends. The only thing that they're down on is how many, you know, people they have in their army. But China and India, you know, have more. But you know, China and India tend to have more people than they have, you know, money and resources. But you know, the U.S. with the military that they spend, that's why they have all this high-tech military. Also, when you go to the aircraft carriers, they just have the majority of the aircraft carriers in the world, right? Here are all the aircraft carriers in the world as of 2000. I think this is 11, and these are all, this whole, you know, two left columns, you know, from here are all the U.S. carriers. This is all the other nations. You know, Russia only has one. China just has one, I think. You know, where's China? I don't think China should be here, but China just has like one. Alright. France, India, Japan. Oh, here goes China. The one that China has, but all these are all U.S. So again, it's Esau, you know, his blessing is definitely manifest. And when I said in past videos that if there's anybody equipped to try to stand up to the Lord when he comes back, it's going to be Esau. So hopefully this video was edifying, Akim. I'm going to let this video play out so you can see what Esau is playing with. Shalom.
Seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.